So what is vital? For medical students like yourselves, it might be a heartbeat, it might be, a pulse, a heartbeat, a brainwave, something like that. But what if you go one step back? What if you look at society? What do you think is vital to society? I feel that that's freedom of speech and expression. In today's day and age, where you have higher connectivity, where the Internet of Things is bringing us closer and less and more connected, it's vital that we are allowed to speak what we want and be given the protection to do it freely and without fear. The right to free speech and expression in India is guaranteed under the Constitution. It's a fundamental right which affords every citizen the most important thing that can be there. Upon infringement, you can seek a remedy and not just go to the police or go to a district court. You can go all the way right up to the Supreme Court at the first instance and seek a remedy for the violation. Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution says that there shall be the right, every citizen shall have the right to the freedom of speech and expression. It is subject, it's not an absolute right, it's subject to 8 very specific, very narrowly construed by the courts restrictions which have been termed as reasonable restrictions. This includes the sovereignty and integrity of India, defamation, incitement to violence, friendly relations with foreign states, and other things amongst the 8. Only 8, which the courts have also construed to be very specific. All the way from 1951, when the Constitution was brought in, till now, we have had various landmark cases which have dealt specifically with the right to free speech. This includes the right to of the press to have free speech, because that is how, traditionally, that's how information got out. If it was on the TV or the newspaper before that, or the radio, that's how you learned something happened. If you didn't hear it on the radio, I mean, our grandparents, it probably didn't happen. It was all hearsay, it was all gossip otherwise. So the radio, the newspapers, the TV, the news, these are the sources of information that we have in our lives today and which have evolved. And now with the evolution of technology, it's become the Internet. You don't even need a laptop, you don't even need a computer to access the Internet. All you need is a smartphone. So with that kind of connectivity, everyone has access to it, and everyone has then the ability to say something and have that make a difference. You have change.org, which has come about, which is so vital. I mean, the traditional forms of protest have been, go to congregate at a spot and say, we are with you, we support you. Now you don't even have to do that. It's so much easier for people, so much more convenient for people to say, yes, I support you, by signing up to for a petition online or starting a campaign online where you can do it from the comfort of your own homes or your office or wherever. So that's basically what free speech is to us. I think that it's the right, it's not just a right, it's integral. It's our thought, our opinions that we form, and it's our way of expressing it, and that includes the right to not speak. If you don't want to speak about something, there's no compulsion that yes, you have to have an opinion on something. You don't, and that is where your freedom comes into play. Section 66A was introduced in 2008 into the Information and Technology Act. Can you guess how long Parliament spent debating it? 6 minutes. That's it. 6 minutes and it was law. Do you know why it came about? The idea, the general idea, and this is way back in, say, 2007, when they were trying to figure out, oh my God, what do we do to curb this evil of spamming? That's the reason why 66A was included. So it came about because of spamming. I don't think there was a single instance where it was used because, oh, we got too many, emails for Viagra. So, it has always been misused, and it kind of went, disappeared into obscurity in 2008. Then comes 2012, where you know, there were a slew of arrests, and these are just the ones that the media picked up, mind you. There was the 2 girls in Maharashtra, in Thane, one of whom was arrested for liking, just liking a post that the other one put up. Another was a professor in West Bengal who had made a satirical cartoon on the chief minister. Another was a businessman in Pondicherry who had said something against a politician's son. Those were the, you know, the popular ones, I'll say, that the media picked up, and that basically filtered their way down to me. And when I found out, I was like, why are they getting arrested? You know, someone is questioning why Bombay is shut down after a political leader's death and being arrested for that. I think that's ridiculous, because if not, then much before, people have been debating this on the news, on TV, in newspapers, in articles, in, you know, in fora like this. So it's not that it was something that was vastly different to what has been said in traditional forms of media. The only difference here was that it was over the internet. Now, I come back to 66A. 66A basically, it deals with the content put up on the internet, or sorry, dealt with the content put up on the internet. Anything that was put up on the internet, any communication put up on the internet, be it private, so that's a WhatsApp message, a private email, you know, a Facebook message, anything like that, or public, so that's anything you post on the internet. So a blog post, a restaurant review, anything was subject to this. It came under the purview of section 66A. The second ingredient was that if any person, so any person apart from the uploader who found that either annoying, of menacing character, or grossly offensive, these are the 3 words used to describe the crime: annoying, grossly offensive, and of menacing character, was liable to be arrested for up to 3 years and have a fine. Now, if you go to a police station and say, oh, this XYZ has posted something on the internet, I find it annoying. Can you define that? Can you define what annoying is, or what grossly offensive is, or what of menacing character can be? If I define it in a certain way, will that definition be the same for, say, you? No, it won't. It's never going to be the same. It's so subjective that there can never be a yardstick, a concrete yardstick where you say, yes, this is like, you know, like you have first degree murder, second degree murder, manslaughter in the American criminal system. There's got very specific definitions for things that carry penal implications, or have a prison sentence associated with it. You can't have ambiguity, it can't be vague. So all of this combined really got me thinking as to why and how can this section 66A, how can it survive? How can it be there in a democracy like India, where we have so many different kinds of people? So we're multifaceted, multi-religious, multi-thinking, and all of these facets of the Indian society are cherished. They are encouraged, they are developed. So by that entire logic of 66A, half of you could go to a police station and say, I don't like what this half is saying, so please arrest them, and they would have no choice but to. By procedure, they would have no choice. If any pressure was applied, they would have no choice but to arrest you, and that's what was happening. And later on, I recently only learned that there were over 4,000 arrests that happened up until it was scrapped under section 66A. So you can imagine, it was being put on as an offense on anything that dealt with the internet. So you know, that was a short way of being sent to prison. So it was all of this that really inspired me to file the petition. I filed a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court in 2012. And my basic contention, my most basic contention there was that section 66A is a gross violation of our right to free speech. By pitting the internet at a different level to the media, to traditional forms of media, for things that were said on both platforms, mind you, and then only arresting them on because they said it on the internet. That was not okay. So, and what the Supreme Court also held was that Section 66A, and this is a British doctrine that they brought in, had a chilling effect. A chilling effect. This is the Supreme Court who said that there is a chilling effect that Section 66A has on the freedom of speech and expression. And they struck it down. Last year in March, they struck it down. They held that it was a violation of free speech and expression. So all of this combined, we've come to the fact that the most important thing in our society, where, you know, we have different political parties, different religions, as I said earlier, different thoughts, different associations, all of that. In a society like ours, we can't, if you have something to say, if you have a different view, that is something that has to be cherished. The right to free speech includes the right to dissent, to be different, to say something that is in a minority. Your thought might be in a minority, but if you feel you're right, and if you feel that that dissent is right, then you have to do something about it. You can't keep quiet. And that needs to be protected. When the status quo is maintained, there's never going to be a problem. It's when the minority says, there's something wrong happening and I think you should do something about it. And there is something wrong happening. That you need to protect. You can't just go with the flow on with the bigger scheme of things. You need to, you know, as a society, we need to evolve in a way where we don't need a all-pervasive police system which wants to, you know, spy on us or invade our privacy. This is the way where if the dissent, if the critique, if that criticism is something that you feel is you know, going in the right direction, you're going against, yeah, you may be going against the flow, you may be going against the majority, but it's for the greater good, then say it, express it, and you shouldn't keep quiet because out of fear of punishment or, you know, oh my God, how can you say something like that? That's how everything starts. That's how you start a movement. It's a thought. That thought you need to express it, and with that expression, you will be able to achieve so much more. And you just have to be different. Be different, think differently, and act on it.